What's up, everyone? I'm Rick Knight. Welcome back to another video here at the Bed Philosopher. Sorry if I sound sick. I'm just extremely tired. I switched over to working nights, so I didn't get home till by the time I left the job site at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then it took me over 2 hours to get home. And then I didn't do the garbage earlier. I had to do the garbage for the house for sanitation pickup this morning, so by the time I took a shower and went to sleep, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. So working nights kind of suck. Okay, so what do we have here? In the news, I guess, really in YouTube news, it's not really that big in the mainstream news, although most publications have reported about a transgender rights leader who was arrested for burning down their own home in Detroit, Michigan. Apparently, the transgender activist was angry that the Pride Festival that they had did not receive as much attention, and they were looking for another fight and nothing to protest or more reasons to be an activist, and this was their calling. So apparently this happened about a year ago. So Nikki, Joly, a transgender, I guess it's a woman who is now a man, has been arrested and was under federal investigation. Last year, Nikki, Joly burned down their own home with 5 pets inside and claimed that they were a victim of a hate crime. And as it turned out, a year later, after proper investigation, she or he, I guess Nikki Joly wants to be a he, although Nikki Joly is really a she. So she, he, she, it, whatever you want to call it, was arrested and charged with burning down their own home in the attempt to frame it as a hate crime. Now, Nikki Joly, who organized a number of pro-LGBT events, an initiative, is accused of intentionally setting the fire to his own home in 2017, so this is more than a year ago. 5 pets died in the blaze, and the FBI initially investigated the incident as a hate crime. Now, this went all the way to the state grand jury, where they wanted more evidence. They wanted to make sure they did not arrest Nikki Joly for a member of the LGBT community for for a fake hate crime. I guess they didn't want it to spin out of control. They wanted enough evidence. They wanted to make sure that when they did make the arrest, that no one would be there to protest, and nobody would be there to say that this is just they're transphobic or anything like that. And they don't want a hashtag believe all trans. They didn't want anything like that going on. So they wanted to make sure that they sealed all ends, and that's what they did. So now the arrest comes in the wake of the scandal involving the Jesse Smollett hate crime hoax. This is going to become something very popular now. I think people are going to have their eyes open every time there's a report of a hate crime. The police, the FBI, us in general, we are going to start really scrutinizing every single case, and as we should, to make sure that there is a real victim and it's not a hoax. This is something that's going to become very popular in our society, where people lie and say that they're victims. I think being the victim is now like the new, it's like the new accomplishment. It's the new thing to, to say you did, or it's like the new cool. It's the new, instead of accomplishing something, just become a victim. You could probably get paid off of it. You can get some attention. It's sick. It's a sick way of thinking. It really is. So people will stage a hoax crime, stage a hoax, a hate crime hoax. Say they're a victim. They'll get attention. Maybe make some money. Now there was something like $58,000 raised for Nikki Joly after her and her partner, I guess her wife, burned down their own home, and now they have nowhere to stay. So money and funds was raised. She didn't even own the home that she stayed in. This was in Detroit, Michigan. She was renting the home, so she burned someone else's home down. And now, $58,000 was raised in order for her to put her life back together. And it turns out that this individual did it all to themselves. Sick. It's a sick world. I'm looking at the pictures on the side, on the side screen of the damage done to this home. I mean, it looks like it looked like it was a pretty decent home. You burned down someone else's property. You burned down the place you were living. You killed 5 of your pets that was in the home. I mean, the pets alone is something that I think you would really consider. I mean, I'm a pet owner. Right? I have a snake now, but I grew up with a cat my whole life. I know, I'm a wussy, but I was never allowed to own a dog wherever I lived. It was always no dogs allowed. So I always went with the next best thing, which was a cat, which I don't mind because I love animals. And when you take on a pet, it's like the responsibility you have with the pet that, don't take a pet into your home and then you don't want the pet no more and you throw it out into the street, or you just don't care what happens with the pet. You should have thought of that before you took the pet, that this is a lifelong commitment. Don't take an animal if you're not ready to make a lifelong commitment. Right now, I've done this before where I got a cat, had the cat for for a month or two, and then said, you know what, this wasn't a very good idea. I didn't think it through. Let me find a home for it. And luckily I found a home for the cat. Or, I took a dog in and then, it gave me trouble because, landlord's like, I told you I don't want a dog here. And then I had to get rid of the dog. And, it's a bad thing to do. Make sure you really think about what you're doing. So like this time I have a snake, goes right into a tank, doesn't bother anyone. It's so easy to take care of. I keep the tank clean. I feed him. Make sure there's water in the bowl. Make sure he's warm. I mean, it's a very, very fairly easy animal to take care of. It really doesn't cost me much energy or effort at all. And whatever energy and effort it costs me, it's enjoyable. So it's not a big deal. But you really have to consider that is a life. So you take an animal into your home. You have to consider that animal before other things. Like that animal has to come first. If you had no money, you only had enough money to feed you or your animal, you have to feed your animal because you'll have a way of figuring out how you're going to eat, but the animal don't. So the animal is relying on you. This is your responsibility. So, here's this transgender activist is burning down a home, killing 5 animals. And it's like, did you maybe try to give the animals away first before you selfishly burn down your own home, killing these animals in the attempt to be a victim because being a victim is cool? Did you consider the life of other people? Did you consider what can happen? I don't know if there's anyone else living in the home. I don't know, from the pictures I can't tell, but is there a home, an adjacent home that could have, caught fire because the wind took some of the fire over to next door? That happens. You could have burned down the house next door with people in it. I mean, did you really think of any of the consequences that comes behind your actions? And obviously she didn't because she, it was a terrible idea and she burned down the home. But, now she's arrested and she's charged with it. So, and the sad part is she was receiving help from the local church that was helping her to organize, and they gave her, spaces to, I guess, to have their protest and, rooms and stuff for them to get together and have meetings and whatever. It says it here, according to a police report, 2 members of the St. John's United Church of Christ, where the gay community center is located, believe Joly was anxious to generate more news about LGBT rights. So, they were working within the church, which is really not common for churches to get behind, stuff like this. So you found the church was like, look, we'll get behind gay rights, and and you let them down. You disappointed them. You disappointed your community. You disappointed your family, your friends, your neighbors. You killed 5 pets, and then you tried to cause a shitstorm. Here's the thing: when are we going to say, what, your behavior was heterophobic? This was heterophobic behavior. You designed this to make heterosexuals look bad. You designed this to make straight people, straight individuals look bad. That's exactly what this is. Ignore the sirens. I do live in Brooklyn. But you did this to make us look bad and to make us look like we're violent, that we discriminate, we're not tolerant, we're crazy. Luckily I didn't see anything that said anything about a Trump supporter being involved in this. I didn't see anything about a cisgendered white straight male Christian probably did this. It was just it was burned down. It was a hate crime, and that's how it was left. They didn't talk about if it was black or white or anything like that. But just the fact that you were attempting to target heterosexual individuals and blame us for your home being burnt down. Just like Jesse Smollett, was blaming, two white guys, attacked him. And then the media mentioned something about a Trump hat, which not sure if Smollett had that in the report, if he reported that they were wearing a Trump hat, or if the police. I don't think the police would have put that in there. But either the media did or something. But it was initially reported that they were wearing Trump hats. So what happened was you demonized, white straight male Trump supporters. And that's exactly what you did, and it turned out to be a hoax. When are we going to say that this is racism? When are we going to say that this is heterophobia? When are we going to say that this is Christian phobia? When are we going to say that this is sexist towards men? You know, when are we going to start labeling them as such? Because they're labeling us as such, and they're going so far as to create a fake and phony hate crime, a hoax to not only to be victims so they could be cool and get a career out of it, and they can have, you know, a sympathy from people, and then they can raise money, and then they can have more work and business as usual, but at the same time demonizing us and making us look like we're the villains when it's just not the case. So, you know, once again, you know, hopefully this person, he, she, whatever it is. I mean, I'm looking at the picture now. Clearly, I can tell it's a woman. It's an older woman. Clearly, I can tell it's a woman. You didn't fool me. They have no reason to call you a he. You're not a he. You have a female. You have the female sexual reproductive organs. You don't have male chromosomes. You don't have testicles. You don't have you know. You don't worry about prostate cancer. You don't worry about anything. Biologically speaking, you are a woman. As far as your sexual preference has nothing to do with it. Your gender expression, you can express it any way you want, but gender is an expression of your sex. But let's not get into that topic. I'm looking at her, and I don't know, whatever he, she, whatever it wants to be called, but you know, she's definitely a disgrace to the LGBT community. She makes them look bad. She makes them look like fools. She makes the entire gay community look bad. She makes people on the left look bad. We can't take you serious when these are the things that you're doing, and we want. I mean, it's hard to take you serious when you live outside of an objective reality. When you live in this subjective world where you could just be whatever you want to be, and you can change your sex at will, and you can change your gender at will, and making a career out of being a victim, and it's sickening at this point. So, all right, that's all I have. I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to touch on that situation with the transgender activist, and see what you guys think. So like, comment, share, hit the bell, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.